Hello and welcome to my first video called Python Calculator. In this video I will be teaching you how to design a calculator using Python. It does require some basic prior knowledge, not too much, just the basic data types and if else and nested statements, or if else and nested statements should I say. Anyways, let's get started with it. So I like to make a mini to-do list, which is basically commenting what I will need in my video. So hashtag I will need to make some calculations. So multiply, divide, add, and subtract. How will I do this? I'll use if statements and I will use inputs. So let's just quickly fix this. Inputs. So let's get started. So let's call our first variable number _1. Underscore is a cheeky way to allow spaces in Python while keeping it professional. So we'll make this an integer using the int function, and then we'll make it an input. Boom. Alright, so let's type in enter your first number, colon. And I really like doing \n, so it doesn't keep my code too cluttered. It won't tidy up my code, but once I run this, it will say enter your first number, and then on a new line it will give you space as if you didn't know, and you'll realize once you run the code if you don't know what I'm talking about right now. Let's go on to number 2. Number 2. Same principle applies as before. Int input. Enter your second number, colon, \n. So now let's make a calculation. So this basically signifies no int because it's not a number, and no float because it's not a decimal number, and it's already a string by default, so we don't need the str function. So we'll say enter the calculations that you wish to be done. Okay, so now we'll say this. If, okay, we have to make the calculation more specific. To multiply, write, multiply. To divide, write, divide. To add, write, add. To divide, no, we've already done that. To subtract, write, subtract. We could have done this quicker, but it's really important that our user understands the principle we're going for. Anyways, so let's start with multiply. If calculation, which is our variable, equals, so equals is a fancy way of saying is true to or is equal to. In Python 3, you would not say equal, you would have to say equal. As you can see, it flashes red, which means it's signified or it's recognized as a function in Python. Then we'd use double quotes. We could use single quotes, but I'd always prefer to stick with double quotes. Multiply, colon, number 1. Okay, so let's call this result 1 equals. So result 1 equals number 1 multiplied by number 2. Then we would print, and if you know what f strings are, it's basically, it concatenates, or it combines rather, strings and integers and floats all together. So the f function can make sure that you don't have to get in any hassle. You can write strings and integers and floats of all kind in one double quote. And you know how complicated the plus signs and the commas get afterwards. All you need to do is use curly braces. Anyway, so we can write the answer to your calculation is colon, and in curly braces we write result 1, end of curly braces. So this will give us the multiplication. Elif, because there's more than 2 conditional statements, if calculation, elif calculation, oh no, I wrote calculation. If calculation equals divide, colon, result, we could just replace the result 1 variable, but for clarity I'll write result underscore 2 equals number 1 over number 2. Oops, that's wrong again. Number underscore 1 over number underscore 2. So then we would print again in an S string the answer to your calculation is colon result underscore 2 end of curly braces. So let's just separate these conditional statements. Elif, and now we can go into addition. Elif calculation equals addition colon result 3. Just for some clarity, overall you can just write result 1 and iterate that the whole time, but just for some clarity I'll use result 3. Result 3 equals number 1 plus number 2, and then I will print again in an S string the answer to your calculation is colon result 3 end of curly braces. And finally else colon, we don't need to write else calculation equals subtraction, because if it's not multiply, divide or addition, then obviously the computer will recognize it as something else, which in this case is subtraction. Print, or elif actually, calculation equals subtraction colon, so that's subtraction, good. Print, result 4 underscore 4 equals number 1, number underscore 1 actually, minus number 2. Then I will print this in an F string like usual, same regime. The answer for your calculation is colon, open curly braces, result 4, end of curly braces. And why did I make this an if statement and not an else statement? This is because if we go over here to the calculation input, for an example, if the user types in, say, to add, write add, if the user doesn't read this and the user types in addition, then my code will not recognize this, as it says if calculation equals add. So the last else statement would be else colon print your calculation was not recognized please read the instructions carefully and do not use capital letters. Oops, that's why it was all funny. The most important thing in Python, the double quotes. So you can say print, this is outside of the conditional statement, print, have a good day. Okay, so let me just save this by clicking Ctrl and S. Let me go on Tools, Sublime REPL, Python, Run. Enter your first number, 12, to your second number, 4, multiply, 48, so 12 times 4, which is 48, that is the obvious answer, so my calculator's worked. Just to make sure, I'll do addition this time. Oops, I think I did the wrong one. Tools, Sublime REPL, Python, and current file. 12, 4, add 16. Have a good day. So this is how you code a Python calculator. I hope you've had fun, I hope you learned something, and I hope overall it's been an enjoyable project. Goodbye.